Welcome to Labor and Industries Need-to-Know Guide for Small Businesses. This video covers many common regulations, laws, and protocols that apply to the majority of small businesses. However, owners and managers will want to review the information and resources on L&I's website for more detailed information. Labor and Industries, or L&I, is the state agency dedicated to the safety and health of Washington workplaces to keep businesses and workers healthy, safe, and working. Regulations set forth by L&I ensure safe work environments, so businesses remain open and productive. L&I also protects and assists workers that are injured on the job, set minimum wage and overtime requirements, set minimum age requirements for workers, and ensure workers have access to sick and medical leave along with a variety of other protections. Along with enforcing these regulations, L&I is also mandated to ensure employers are communicating to employees their workers' rights. At the end of the day, the regulations and requirements L&I enforce are meant to keep you and your employees safe and working. You as a business owner or manager need to review and follow regulations, requirements, and licenses that affect your specific business. Those regulations and requirements will be significantly different from industry to industry and business to business. This applies to any business that has employees, hires contractors, or has a physical location. Even if none of these conditions apply to you, there are several industries that are still regulated by L&I, many with specific requirements. The Division of Occupational Safety and Health, or DOSH, has inspectors that go out to businesses and work sites to conduct health and safety inspections to identify hazards. If these inspectors find hazards and rules violations, the businesses will not only be required to take corrective action, but will also, in many cases, have to pay significant monetary fines and possibly even face business closure. Learning the most common hazards and violations DOSH inspectors find can help you spot and fix hazards in your business and review your safety and health requirements as a business owner. These are the most cited safety and health rules: lack of proper fall protection, not having an accident prevention program, failing to educate and train workers on chemical hazards, not appointing a safety committee or not having safety meetings, lack of or incorrect use of personal protective equipment, unsafe ladder usage, lack of a first aid kit and/or proper first aid training, and violation of basic electrical rules. To learn more about these violations or other concerns that may arise during a DOSH inspection, visit L&I's website under Health and Safety. Here you will find a link to the full DOSH compliance manual. As a business owner or manager, it is your responsibility to review and ensure compliance with Washington state regulations related to workplace safety. Some businesses may have more regulations that apply to their specific industry. Full compliance will require you to regularly review each of these core regulations' specific requirements, which can be found on L&I's website. However, we will discuss some of the general requirements here. It is the employer's responsibility to provide a safe and healthy workplace free from recognized hazards, establish a safety committee and hold safety meetings, write, implement, and enforce an accident prevention program that is effective to protect the health and safety of all workers in your business, ensure first aid trained personnel are available to provide quick and effective first aid, ensure that your employees have, use, and care for the appropriate personal protective equipment, preserve and provide access to chemical safety data sheets, and conduct an investigation of incidents and accidents. Workspaces should be structurally sound, having adequate lighting, and be free from exposure to elements such as tobacco smoke. Employees should have access to fire extinguishers, and emergency exits and alarm systems in your workplace should be maintained. You must protect employees from hazards associated with working with appliances, electrical equipment, and tools. Additionally, you must make available personal hygiene resources such as clean water, restroom facilities, eating areas, and waste disposal. Workplace safety also includes communicating information through tools such as a safety bulletin board, newsletters, and online web-based materials. This must include posting of the job safety and health law posters in an area that your employees can access. A comprehensive list and description of all of the safety rules that apply to all businesses, including industry-specific rules, is available on the L&I website under Health and Safety. Workplace safety should also include a documented workplace safety program that combines written guidelines and plans, employee orientation and training, and personnel meetings to identify and update current and potential hazards in the workplace. The cornerstone of a good workplace safety program is an accident prevention program. Every employer in Washington state is required to create a written accident prevention program, or APP, with specific instructions for actions to protect workers from the safety and health hazards found in their workplace. The first step to creating an effective APP is to find potential hazards in your workplace. This will vary greatly from business to business. Safety concerns on a construction site are much different than those in an office. There are resources on the L&I website to assist you in identifying common hazards, such as grounds or floors slips, trips, and falls, exposure to chemicals, personal protective equipment, active shooter, and lifting hazards. The Job Hazard Analysis Worksheet will guide you in identifying what specific safety hazards you will need to include. The APP should describe each of the potential hazards in your workplace, the potential harm the hazard could cause, and prevention measures. The next step is to train employees about the hazards in their workplace and how to prevent them. Employers should schedule trainings on a regular basis to update and reinforce employee safe and healthy work practices. L&I has resources to help you complete and keep updated your accident prevention program. For APP templates and guidance on how to identify hazards, visit L&I's website and search for APP. This will also help you identify if you are in an industry that has additional safety requirements. Depending on the number of employees, businesses are required to form a safety committee or hold regular safety meetings. This committee should meet at least once a month, but may need to meet more often depending on the number of hazards and hazard prevention updates. Workers' compensation is an insurance coverage provided by L&I that covers wages and medical benefits for workers that have been injured on the job and are unable to work. Workers' compensation insurance also, in most cases, protects employers from litigation when an injury or illness occurs at work. If you have employees, you are required by law to obtain a workers' compensation account and report workers' hours and pay premiums every quarter. To obtain a workers' compensation account, you will need a state business license. Requesting a new license or updating a current license to reflect you'll be hiring employees will create a workers' comp account with L&I. Once your account is created, L&I will assign you an account manager who will set up your workers' compensation policy. L&I will then send you a letter explaining your account, rate notice, certificate of coverage, and workplace posters you are required to prominently display for your employees to see. If you are a sole proprietor, partnership, limited liability company, or other legal structure that does not pay owners of the business as employees, you may be able to purchase workers' compensation insurance through L&I. Employers are required to pay their employees a minimum hourly wage set by the state of Washington. This minimum wage is required for all hours worked, including opening and closing a store, and required training and meetings. Some cities have higher minimum wage requirements than the state. Information on the minimum wage for your city is available on the L&I website. Additionally, most employees who work more than 40 hours in a 7-day work week must be paid overtime. Overtime pay must be at least 1.5 times the employee's regular hourly pay. Other overtime rates, such as double time, are not required under Washington state law, with the exception of certain public works projects. Employees cannot waive their right to overtime pay. Salaried employees may be exempt from overtime pay as executive, administrative, or professional employees if they meet specific salary thresholds and have certain job duties. Employee pay must be an agreed-upon wage for all work performed, and payments must be made on a regular, scheduled payday that occurs at least once per month. Payment can be made in many forms, including check, cash, direct deposit, or even prepaid payroll or debit cards, as long as there is no cost to the employee to access their wages. All tips earned must be paid to the employee, and tips cannot be used as partial payment in replacement of an employee's regular salary. There is an exception to this if you are in Seattle with its own minimum wage that exceeds the state's. Also, how much an employee will receive of any service charge for providing a service such as a delivery must be disclosed. If nothing is disclosed, or the disclosure is unclear, then the entire service charge must be paid to the employee who provides the services to the customer. Employers are required to withhold taxes and tips from service charges. Several laws govern workplace policies in Washington state. As a small business owner, you should familiarize yourself with these requirements and integrate them into your workplace policies. Washington state law provides requirements for retention of employees' payroll records. These records must be kept for at least 3 years, and employees have the right to request copies of these records at any reasonable time. Itemized pay stubs must be provided either electronically or on paper each payday. If an employee cannot receive an electronic pay statement, then the employer must provide a written one. Employers are required to provide regular rest and meal breaks to employees with a minimum of at least 10 minutes for every 4 hours worked and 30 minutes for every 5 hours worked. Employers are required to provide employees with 1 hour of sick leave for every 40 hours worked. Employees are allowed to use sick leave for mental illness, physical illness or injury, health conditions, to obtain a medical diagnosis or preventative care, if a family member needs care, if your workplace or child's school or place of care has been closed for any health-related reason by order of a public official, or if you are absent from work for reasons that qualify for leave under the state's Domestic Violence Leave Act. Employers in the state of Washington are not required to provide employees with holiday, vacation, or bereavement pay. State law prohibits employers from terminating or retaliating against employees for exercising their rights under such regulations as the Minimum Wage Act, Injured Workers Claim, Safety Complaints, Discrimination in the Workplace, Protected Leave, and the Equal Pay and Opportunities Act. To hire anyone under the age of 18 in Washington, there are specific laws and rules employers must follow. Businesses who violate minor work restrictions can be subject to fines and civil penalties. Before hiring a minor, an organization must obtain a minor work permit on their business license, a completed parent or school or summer authorization form, and verify the minor's age. Additionally, there are restrictions as to the types of work minors can do and the hours they can work related to their age. For additional details, the requirements for hiring a minor and restrictions are available on L&I's website. There are many other workplace policies that L&I enforces related to a variety of employee situations. To ensure you are in compliance, contact your local L&I office or thoroughly review the information available on the website. L&I is responsible for issuing and renewing a broad range of licenses and permits that specific businesses need in order to operate legally in the state of Washington, such as food trucks and trailers, general or electrical contractors and plumbers, and any business that has an elevator or boiler. L&I issued licenses and permits are also required if you are building or selling mobile, manufactured, or modular structures, if you plan to hire a contractor, start an apprenticeship program, or are completing a public works project that could require prevailing wages. An issue many business owners face is determining if they have employees or independent contractors supporting their business. These guidelines have changed over the years to protect employee rights. It is important that you verify you are working with independent contractors to ensure you are not accountable for workers' compensation, unemployment insurance, and other possible required benefits. There are 2 tests available on the L&I website to help you identify the difference between independent contractors and employees for L&I purposes. Navigating the requirements for a safe and healthy workplace takes time. L&I's consultation program offers confidential, no-fee professional advice and assistance to Washington businesses. These services can help you find and fix hazards in your workplace and strengthen your safety program. The on-site consultation does not issue citations or propose penalties. Employers must correct or eliminate exposures to hazards. To schedule a no-cost consultation, visit L&I's website and search for Safety Consultation. Now that you have a general idea of what your responsibilities are as a business owner, be sure to review the Need to Know Guide in detail, available from the Economic Development Council, and visit L&I's website or contact a representative to better understand the specific needs to keep you and your business safe, healthy, and compliant.